Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about the Joker movie. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent, finishing up my trip, and I decided to take a trip to the local Cineplex here in Virginia to go see the new Joker movie. This movie is directed by Todd Phillips. It stars Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck and a bunch of other character actors who you've seen before, but are not that big a role in the movie. This movie is all about the character of Arthur. So I want to back up a little minute because I think this is going to be a fairly unusual review. I was thinking about it on my short drive home. This movie's had some controversy around it as far as the questions of why are we watching a Joker movie? Why was one made? Do we want to see a Joker movie? And what effect of a movie like this is going to have on society? And are we celebrating the wrong type of people? Those are all good questions. And I don't think this movie celebrates the wrong type of people. I don't think it celebrates the type of people that the Joker is. I don't think those type of people need to be celebrated. I don't really think this movie does that either. We really have to, I want to spend a little bit of time on some of those questions because I really think, you got to think, why do you want to go see a movie about a psychotic, I don't even know if those are the same words, killer who kills with no remorse, kills with a smile, will tell you one thing and then do the exact other and then laugh in your face about it. Who's the embodiment of chaos if there's one thing we gained from the Joker character in the Batman movies. The character of the Joker is really, he's been fun before, he's been scary as well, but I think after this movie, and especially, the combination of The Dark Knight, over 10 years ago, and the combination of this movie, they really cement who this character is and why he's so frightening. And, like this movie especially. And I don't think that we enjoy watching the Joker because we enjoy the character of him. When you really think about it, and that's what this movie forces you to do, the Joker is a terrifying character. The idea of someone like that with no empathy, with a personality that's so on the knife edge of of being sane sometimes and then completely turning on you at other times. A person who has no redeemable arc, who's only out there for his own laughter or his own self-fulfillment or own pleasure. We see some of those types of characters in film and movies and stuff today, but there's always some sort of inherent redeeming quality or value or a lesson to be learned. And that type of thing is not present in the Joker. And it hasn't been since, I think it was 1969, 71. I posted a link on the BK's Bullets Facebook page today, and it was a Vulture article talking about the Joker's 5-way revenge in, I think it was Batman or Detective Comics, something like that. It's the 251. Basically, this was the first time the Joker was ever truly made to be like a psychotic killer. And it was written by Denny O'Neil and drawn by Neil Adams. It's now a classic Batman story. But up until that point in the 70s, he was not a character who was this psychotic killer. He was menacing. He had, the grin and everything, all the classic Joker stuff he had was definitely there. I think there's some of it in the Batman 66 TV show, but he was definitely more played for laughs. But with this comic that came out, the Five-Way Revenge, you saw this character turn, and it was, taking this guy seriously and making him the most threatening person that they could think of that Batman has to face. Because what do you do in the face of basically like pure evil? How do you punish that when it doesn't want to be punished? When you basically can't punish it because it's still relishing in your punishment? What do you do with that? And anything you do to it is just going to make it happier. That's like at the end of The Dark Knight when Batman's beating the crap out of the Joker in that tower. He starts laughing because that's what he wants. So ever since that comic in the 70s, the Joker's taken this turn, this downward turn. The next big Joker moment I can think of was probably historically 1986 Dark Knight Returns, and there is a lot of Dark Knight Returns in this Joker movie in the most menacing, threatening, vile way. And if you've read Dark Knight Returns, I think based on the previews, exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're a fan of Dark Knight Returns, I don't know if like you're gonna, I should say like you want to see that scene in the movie, because it's not a nice, friendly scene, but the interpretation of that scene does not. I don't think you'll be disappointed in the interpretation, but it's not a pleasant thing to watch. This movie is hard to talk about because it's not treated like a horror movie. It's not treated like a comic book movie. It's not treated like an action film. It's not treated as a comedy. You're not watching it to relish in it. This is like the first real tragedy that I've seen on film in a long, long time. You go into it thinking that you're going to laugh because you watched 1989's, Batman, and Jack Nicholson was funny. Who's being Jack Nicholson underneath all that makeup? You go into it watching The Dark Knight from 2008 and Heath Ledger's Oscar-winning performance. Remember, he won an Oscar posthumously, 10 years ago in 2009 for the 2008 movie season for his portrayal of the Joker in that film for Best Supporting Actor. And you go into this movie thinking about that performance, which was so maniacal and yet fun at the same time. The best shot of that Joker film, of that film of the Joker, and it's become iconic in its own right, is the Joker riding in a cop car with his head out the window, hanging out like a dog in the wind kind of thing. There were moments of levity in that film that kind of balanced everything out, because at the end of the day, The Dark Knight was a comic book movie, and it was about entertainment. This Joker film, though, is not any of that. In the best way, in the worst way. Not bad because, it wasn't a good film. It is a good film. But it's, it's definitely a tragedy, and you feel sorry for him. And then it kind of makes you reflect on your own self, if you know what I mean. I'm trying not to give anything away, but this is definitely a film that's going to make you think about who in your life is maybe like Arthur. Who in your life have you seen been sick, direly sick on Facebook, posting about being depressed or down or whatever, and then all you did is scroll on by or think about to like it or not, and then never reach out with a text, a Facebook message, a phone call at all. I'm certainly guilty of it. I can think of a few people like that in my life on my Facebook feed, of people that I'm ignoring basically because I don't know what to say, or I don't approve of their life choices, or, you know, I don't want to associate with that kind of person, that whole thinking. You know, Arthur is one of those people who is down on his luck, I guess. And the movie actually like makes a point to show you that anytime he is down, the world just kicks him while he's down. And if you feel like the world is just kicking you while you're down repeatedly, and you see Arthur trying to make human connection, you see him reaching out to people and being ignored and shoved aside or pushed away because of the things that are wrong with him, that are inherent in him from birth. You know, he's not being treated as a human being, and there are a lot of people that way out there in the world. There are a lot of people who do that out there in the world. I'm certainly guilty of it. I know I've done it before. So, in the way of the tragedy, it's a tragedy to watch Arthur's character go through all this. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to feel like you're feeling when you're watching it. And it's not fun to reflect on the way that you've maybe made other people feel after you've watched it. Because it just kind of like hangs in the back of your head, like, have I contributed to someone in even the smallest amount of that way that maybe drives them towards the knife edge? You know, it's definitely a movie that might make you feel a little guilty in certain ways, of ignorance, a little guilty of, you know, things you've done, a little guilty of not caring, a little guilty of your lack of compassion. It's definitely a thinking movie. So in that way, it is a tragedy. It's a tragedy about Arthur, and it's a tragedy about us. It's a tragedy about the world, how we're all, you know, you're watching this on your phone, or you're watching this on your office computer, or you're watching this at home while you're on your phone, because I'm not offering up any graphics and I'm just talking. But we're so disconnected to each other right now because of the phones and because of the social media and the games and the movies and the television and the constant talk about all of that stuff within it, you know, that we're not connecting with each other on a personal level. And this movie is all about that in the most metaphorical and literal way. Because here you have a character who's begging for connection and being turned away and kicked at every time he reaches out. And, you know, I was thinking about this, like, you know, the old joke about, you know, the guy in the doctor's office who says, maybe it's not a joke really, but here's where I'm going. The guy's in the doctor's office and he tells the doctor, "Hey doctor, I've been feeling down a lot, depressed. You know, do you have anything that could help cheer me up?" And the doctor says, "I hear the great clown Pagliacci's in town. You should go see him. He'll make you laugh, make you feel better." And the guy says, "But doctor, I am Pagliacci." This movie is exactly that joke, if you were, on the most serious level. And I think I just illustrated that point exactly. You know, he's crying out for a connection. And even when he's achieved that connection, or he has the most basic human connection with his mother, in his search for other connections, he becomes betrayed by that exact same person, you know, and let down and felt made insignificant. And there's a line at the end of this movie that I feel like sums up what, you know, that initial question I had 15 minutes ago about, you know, what are we looking for when we go see a movie that's only about the Joker, about this psychotic killer? Well, that line is, you get exactly what you deserve. So that's my thoughts on the Joker. It's not a movie I'm going to rate with a star, because I don't think you can. It's not entertainment, really. It's not. It's really not. So on that level, that I can't give it a star. The performance is great. You've heard that. You've seen that. You've felt that. The directing, the shots are beautiful. I mean, they're really well done in terms of like craft. I saw it in what turned out to be probably the biggest screen in this theater. And this is in the regular 16:9 format. It's big. And on that type of screen, it's very big. And it makes you feel distant and claustrophobic at the same time. The music really hammers home the emotional points that they're trying to drive, I guess. Really unnerving, really tension building. So, when I don't know how they wrote the script or figured out what they wanted to say, but when they did that, they used every tool in the box to achieve the type of feeling that you're going to have when you leave this movie. And some of you might not be okay with watching a movie that makes you feel that way. That's fine. Some of you may think that it's a disappointment or that it's crap because you went in desiring to be entertained. And then to that, I go back to my initial question at the beginning of this video, is why are you going to see a movie about a psychotic killer? We watch horror movies because we want to be scared. And I think that's fine. It's a basic human emotion. That fear gets our heart bumping up and gets us excited and stuff like that. But this is not a horror movie. And they don't play any of the violence for horror or scares or shock. It's real. In the way that most horror movies aren't. And they've made the character of Arthur so real that when he does commit these acts of violence, you feel it, and you're scared, and you're sad. So, I guess think about why you want to go see this movie. I went in thinking I was going to get the best comic book film ever made. I don't think this is that. I went in thinking I may see the best performance of a man portraying the Joker ever made. I don't think this is that either. I want to say there's not enough Joker in there, but after seeing this film, I don't know if I want to see more of this Joker. I didn't call him Joker in this review, mostly because I think of him as Arthur. And to me, if you're going to be portraying the Joker as he is a comic book character, you really need to have a superhero for him to battle against. Because without the superhero to make it comic booky, he's no longer a villain. He's scary and frightening. So, there's that. This movie is going to make you think, and not in the ways that's going to make you comfortable or excited to go see about it or talk to it about it with all your friends like Avengers Endgame did earlier this year. It's definitely not that kind of movie. But really think about why you want to go see this movie, I think. And then take a moment to self-reflect after it. Because I think that's the point. So with that, I've been Brent. Let me know if you liked the movie or not. I'm really more interested if you felt some of these self-reflective thoughts like I did coming out of it. Share your stories if you want. What did it make you think about? How did it make you feel? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time in the funny pages. Hopefully, then they'll be funny.